Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there, so please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money, so check it out and throw some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks.
Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try to make your world a little weirder. I'm Nile.
And I'm Kyle, and this week, to kick off this episode with a bang, I would like to start off with an apology. I would like to apologize to the YouTube community broadly. You might not know this if you're listening to this on your Spotify's or your Cast boxes or your podcatcher, but we do actually upload episodes of the show to YouTube. Mm-hmm. And it just is an automatic process. So I don't use the It Gets Weird YouTube account all that often. Sometimes I'm researching a topic and I'll just save stuff to playlists on there. And I went in there and there was a big red notification thing that was like, oh, you have 10 notifications. I don't check that very often. So, I guess we have a bunch of
comments or
just comments on our episodes. So, I didn't read any of them. So this is me saying sorry for what I said. Thank you for the compliments and appreciate everybody out there going to YouTube. Here's the thing. I don't think any of the people listening on YouTube I don't think there's much crossover with the people who are like active participants in the It Gets Weird community. You know what I mean? So, because I think anytime I've checked it out, it's just people who found us on YouTube somehow, which means
I'm sure like people looking for actual conspiracy content will happen upon us. And, you know, people who actually believe in flat Earth will find those episodes. And
yes, it's definitely there. So point is, congratulations, YouTube commenters, or sorry that happened. And thank you for leaving a bunch of fucking, a bunch of comments.
All right.
Did we introduced the show and everything? Like, okay, cool. Everybody knows what they're listening to at this point, I think. So YouTube people,
and if you're hearing us on YouTube and you don't know what you're listening to, we don't believe in these things.
Here's my suggestion. Here's my suggestion to the YouTube community. Sign out, close the browser window, crack open a fucking cell phone application, put on some headphones, and just walk away from the computer.
Podcast like a real listener.
Podcast like a real podcast listener. That's my suggestion. I realize I haven't like said anything. I haven't been shitty with that subset of our community yet, like publicly, and so I figured it was time to really alienate them as well.
We gotta. It's a real stress test for people just to see only the true can survive. You know?
Exactly. Nah. Hey, shouts out if you're finding us on YouTube and you're not, like a dick or a racist or whatever. But, Niall, we do have an email. Do you want me to read an email?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this is interesting. We have an email here from Travis, and the title of this email is Yeti Blood Oath Stuff, which, first of all, I loved doing that episode. I had a lot of fun with that, and it's Yeti Blood Oath Stuff is just like, I mean, that's a phrase that's going to just cement itself in my mind.
Yeah, some people say it's the most perfect sentence in the English language.
It's a real cellar door. So Travis says, Hey guys, I actually had been just about to send an email linking you guys to the Yeti Blood Oath article yesterday. Oh, side note, we had many people send that to us, actually.
It's fun. It is fun to build up a community that knows to send that shit to us.
Yes, I really appreciated that people knew, like, oh shit, It Gets Weird needs to hear this. Imagine my delight when the new episode dropped and it turned out to be about that very subject. As it happens, I have a cousin who's a priest in Denver. He said that Nepal, who I believe this is the father or whatever they call him in that episode, so go listen to our Yeti Blood Oath episode if you want to know. It says, he said that Nepal took over the seminary school after he graduated. So my cousin was... Oh, by the way, I should just say right now, this is all just hearsay, and I can't confirm any of this, and this is not my opinion to the churches of the broader Denver area.
Sure.
So my cousin was never involved in the prank, but also mentioned that Nepal is a narcissist, and in my cousin's words, quote, this is what that gets you, which struck me as a funny statement for some reason. Also an impression I got upon reading the article and seeing someone mention that Nepal gave an entire sermon about how he was being falsely accused, which is always something that inspires trust.
Yeah. I didn't do the things you're hearing. It's all a setup. Yeah.
We didn't like dive into every detail of the article in that episode, but yeah, I can see that. Also, Nile asked how common the ski trips are, and while I don't know anything about how seminary school works, I did go to Catholic school all the way through high school. Hey, my condolences. And when I was in junior high, we had to go on trips to a shitty Catholic day camp. The camp was probably fine, I guess. I just hated everyone in my class and couldn't imagine anything worse at age 13 than spending 24 hours a day with them. I understand you, not on a Catholic level, of course, but I understand you on a deep level there, Travis.
I understand you from a Protestant perspective.
Yeah, and
I went to Protestant camps and did not get along with most people.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of time spent quietly just like reading.
Yeah, hey, co-signed by the Jewish youth community as well. That was some real shit you just said there. But the email goes on and says, so the ski trips didn't actually stand out as weird in any way when I read the article. It just seemed like a more expensive version of that. Trips seem to just be a Catholic education thing, although given the Catholic Church, it probably does look weird. Anyway, love the episode and the discussion you guys had on it, and always looking forward to the next episode. Travis. Hey, thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
Sorry, is there something weird about the Catholic Church that I should know about?
Not that I've heard of. I haven't checked the news in like 17 years or whatever.
A couple decades.
I don't know when I haven't checked the news since before the stuff that the movie Spotlight is based on happened.
Oh shit.
You know?
Spotlight. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice poll. I haven't seen that one, but I know what it's about.
Yeah. So yeah. Today, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a direct correlation here because we're not talking about anything church related. We're not talking about anything. Although, like, I guess we're technically playing in the realm of
tell you what,
of a Yeti.
At the end of this episode, we will have formed a church about this.
Honestly, we could. There's a possible big question shift happening in this episode, so we'll see what we want to do here. Because this week, Kyle, I went back in that giant sack that we pass amongst us whenever we're doing episodes that has just a bunch of cryptids in it, and I grabbed a couple out of that bag that seemed a little that are all we're staying in. Somewhat local to me here, and these are all Washington, D.C. area cryptids.
Okay, now, if for people at home who want to understand, like, people really like behind-the-scenes stuff with their favorite shows, whether it be YouTube, whether it be a podcast or a movie, and for those at home who like that sort of thing, our process is basically we have a giant burlap sack, and what we did is we went to the Cryptid wiki, and we just downloaded every page there, printed all those pages off. We spent a whole day just snipping those little articles out and then just tossing them in the bag. And then what Nile and I do is we mail it back and forth between between the states we live in. That's actually where a lot of the Patreon money is going.
Yeah,
so thank you
you
very
guys
much
fund
for
this.
donating.
You also bought the printer and the like
Yes.
16 ink cartridges we used, because we didn't do the thing. Some people would be cowards and do that thing where they put things into print mode where it's just on a white background. No,
Yeah.
we kept the full like
color.
bright green color background. So we used a lot of ink.
Lots of ink.
And the sack weighs about 150 pounds, but it's getting lighter every time we do one of these episodes. So,
and just so you all know, your money also did go to one really frustrating Geek Squad interaction with the printer. So thank you again for that, everybody.
We were trying to get it to set up locally in one place, but have both of us connect to it across state lines, and it just,
Yeah, it didn't work. Had to buy a second
difficult.
printer. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. I love just when we get to pull the curtain back and show the real things that we do for this podcast.
Yes, of course.
So, all right. I have 3 cryptids for you today. One of which is kind of a, I don't know, like a name brand. We got one big one here that we're going to talk about because Kyle, today I want to talk to you a little bit about Chessie.
Chessie. Okay.
AKA the Nessie of the Chesapeake Bay.
Aha.
And I like that this thing. So Kyle, I like whenever a cryptid like leaves the realm of the weird a little bit, because at one point Chessie became like a mascot for an environmental drive by to clean up the Chesapeake Bay for Chessie has become not only a cryptid, but a mascot for change. And I think
beautiful.
I think there's really, what more can you ask for than that? So
okay, now cryptids, Washington D.C. cryptids. It's not a place that I've like thought too much about having cryptids, but it makes a lot of sense that there would be some weird energy in that place, I guess, to bring about these kinds of creatures. So yeah, monsters in Washington D.C. Now I'm assuming you're not talking about the ones in the White House this episode.
Kyle, do you want to know how many times I found that joke on articles talking about cryptids in this area? Because
enough for it to wrap around and be funny again when I said it, I hope.
You're not wrong. It really was like, the first time you saw it, it was like, wah, wah, cool. And then over time, you're just like, I get it. Everyone's got the fucking jokes. But like, and then after a while, it does wrap back around to being funny in a new way that I think... honestly, what I'm getting at here is everyone should get on my level and find it funny the way I do.
Yeah.
So,
good advice.
We're bringing in energy this week. So, the stories of Chessie date back to various sighting and accounts back to about 1936. So this isn't the oldest cryptid we're going to have ever talked about. It is within the 20th century. Now, there, of course, you could probably try to like tie it in with stuff before that because people saw serpents and shit. But largely, what is considered the lore of Chessie starts in 1936. So. This first sighting, I guess I could start with, I wasn't going to go super in depth on what this thing looks like because I assume everyone knows what Nessie looks like, and the thing with Chessie is that it's the same type of creature just in the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah, like a plesiosaur-like.
Yeah, you're dealing, it is a little, like, it is thought of sometimes as like more serpentesque. It doesn't always have kind of the fat body, but it's a mix. Like, you hear kind of a couple different versions of it. But yeah, so the first sighting took place in 1936, and it was seen by a military helicopter, which is a little different than a lot of the others. Because like, I feel like a lot of the Nessie sightings and stuff come from people on the shore.
Yeah,
people taking pictures,
passerby. Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that this started from a military helicopter flying over the Bush River in 1936. The crew reported seeing, quote, something reptilian and unknown in the water. Now, this is... that is what you will find listed as the first sighting of Chesapeake. I did find a couple places that tried to poke a hole in that, and I don't know what to do with this information specifically, because I thought this when I first read it as well. A helicopter in 1936 seems like not that it is impossible, but it wasn't. Helicopters weren't super commonplace at the time, because when trying to dig back into this, people found that the oldest record of a helicopter, specifically in this case a Sikorsky helicopter, flying near this area was 1939.
So maybe this was like, could this have been some sort of like prototype?
I think they existed. There's no known reports of one actually flying in that area before 39. The helicopters existed. It's just a matter of like, them actually being in the area.
When the fuck did we invent helicopters?
I'm realizing as we're talking here that I don't know for sure.
All right, I'll find that out.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that. So the oldest kind of uncontested sighting, as I would call it, is and this is reported in the book Weird Maryland. Took place in Baltimore, in the waters near Baltimore in 1943. When two fishermen who were out fishing for perch, by the names of Francis Klarman and Edward J. Ward, saw something in the water out in the bay. They said that it was approximately 75 yards away, at kind of a right angle from their boat. At first, it looked like something that was just floating in the water, and it was all black, and the part of it that was out of the water seemed to be approximately 12 feet long. Its head was as big as a football and shaped somewhat like a horse. Horse's head, I guess, not the full horse. And it turned its head around several times, almost a full 180. Like, it seemed to be able to fully like manipulate its neck to get a wide range of motion.
Do we know how high up they were when they saw this?
These are the fishermen.
Fishermen. Sorry,
the helicopter.
Sorry.
The helicopter people were, if you believe the story, they were just like not at the tree line or anything, but they were flying lower. This was before helicopters would be going up super, super high.
I did look it up, and it looks like we had some form of a helicopter in the 1920s.
Oh, okay.
But I don't get the impression that it would be very comparable to a modern day helicopter. Like, they look very different, but we had something like that pretty early on. But it's like saying, like, like it's like Wright brothers type shit, right? Like it's not very because like I think the first real helicopter was 1907, but like it's like a guy on an engine with wheels and like propeller blades above him. It's not comparable to anything we would know today. But it does kind of make sense that the technology would have evolved to that point by then, and it would make sense that if you go a couple, maybe a couple more decades, that's when you have the black helicopters that are silent and abduct cattle. So
yeah,
makes sense.
Yep. So there were a couple other sightings throughout history before we get to the most famous one. There's one that I didn't have an exact date on, but it was sometime before 1982. Clyde Taylor and his daughter Carol saw Chessie in the Chesapeake, while walking on the Chesapeake Beach by the Chester River. Sorry, a lot of CHs here that like my brain is trying to confuse. So they're at kind of the north part of the Chesapeake Bay, and they saw a ripple moving across the water, and then saw a creature coming out of the water making this kind of disturbance in the calm water. They said it was a tubular body approximately 30 feet long that was as thick as a telephone pole, and it looked like a giant serpent. Oh. It swam through the bay with kind of an undulating up and down motion. They said its eye resembled a large snake eye, and Carol eventually got within approximately 30 feet of the creature before it saw her and disappeared underneath the water.
Now, I'm not good on just like knowing off the top of my head how big snakes can get. But I'm pretty sure snakes can get pretty damn big. It almost makes me think, did some sort of exotic zoo animal or pet escape? You know, like, did some sort of giant snake manage to? But I don't know. This sounds pretty fucking big. So
yeah, it does. It doesn't seem. That there are some theories. Weirdly, one of them is the places people find Chessie. A lot of the sightings seem to be in places where I guess bluefin tuna exist. So people think that it might be some like either just like really big tuna that people are kind of taking out of context, or like a group of tuna disturbing the water.
So maybe it's like a group of tuna moving like in a line or something, like
a
like
a king bluefin tuna. Yeah,
that
like
would make rat. Yeah, that would make sense as to why the term for a group of tuna is a conga line.
Yeah,
you got a murder of crows, a conga line of tuna. That explains that.
Yeah. So the most actual famous sighting of this thing, because it has a videotape, comes in 1982 on May 31st by a guy named Robert Frew, who was out with his wife Karen. So they were out on Kent Island, where they lived at the mouth of the Chester River, like the last one that we talked about. And so they had guests out there having a party, it seems, which is why he had his camera out. So Robert had they were out kind of hanging out on the beach, and they saw a strange creature out in the distance in the calm water, approximately 200 feet away. This led to Robert going to get his video camera, and he started to take a tape of the creature as it dove down into the water and resubmerged and kind of came back out multiple times. It swam to within 50 feet of boys who were playing on the rocks at the edge of the water. And they describe it kind of like, you know, that scene in Jaws where like all the parents are yelling at the kids and the kids can't hear them, so they're like they don't know the shark's coming, because they say like the group started yelling at the kids to try to like get them to come in, but the children didn't notice either Chessie or them. Like there was no response to any of it. The kids were just like off in their own little world. But nothing really happened with that. Like they just the Chessie was in the background of this video. The kids were playing. They didn't notice Chessie. They didn't notice the parents. And eventually the parents went and got them, and it ended. Chessie just kind of disappeared. But this videotape does exist. You can go out and find it and watch it. It's not the most convincing thing I've ever seen. But it also doesn't seem faked. It just seems like there's something in the water, you know? It doesn't seem like they were staging something.
Not trying to do a surgeon's photo type bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't remember if I've told this on the show before, but I had sort of a Jaws style moment once when I was young, where I was out at a beach with my family and some family friends, and there was a sandbar, but you kind of had to like swim to the sandbar a little bit. And I was just running around on the sandbar looking for stuff in the sand. And then suddenly I heard my dad can do this thing where he can put his fingers in his mouth and whistle loud as fuck.
Oh yeah, it's loud. It's so fucking loud, dude.
I've never been able to do that. I don't know how he does it, but he can do that. And I don't, like, my sister and we don't hear my family members on the beach yelling for us, and then we hear the telltale whistle, and we look up, and our my far away, like my parents are like waving their hands in the air and stuff, and like pointing and like waving and like telling us trying to get us to come back to the beach. And we look behind us, and behind us on the sandbar, even further into the ocean, are fins poking out of the water, multiple. And we were like, what the fuck? We are all freaked out. My sister and I are like, oh my god, we're gonna be eaten by sharks. And then we swam back to the beach, and we were fine, of course. And when we get back to the beach, we're watching these things with fins in the water, and then they do something that sharks don't do. They started leaping, and we were like, okay, these are dolphins.
Damn. Okay.
So we were very scared for a brief moment that there was just like a full ass party of sharks. But if I remember correctly, also, sharks don't really behave that way. Sharks, I don't think, I might be misremembering this, but I don't think sharks just like group up together and like hunt. You know what I mean?
No, I
like,
don't think of them as pack hunters.
No, I don't think so. Whereas dolphins do kind of group together, is my understanding. Some marine biologist out there listening, I might be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure. So that should have been a tell from the beginning. But yeah, they turned out to be dolphins, and in case you couldn't tell, I have survived to this day. No shark attack. So
yeah. So I mean, I'm glad you didn't get eaten by a shark. That.
Thank you. If you hadn't said that, if you hadn't said that, and we just moved on with the show, I don't know what I would have fucking done. Honestly,
yeah, you would have thought I wanted you to get eaten by thought I was sitting here going, damn, I wish you'd gotten eaten.
Yeah, it's all about the stuff you don't say, basically.
Yeah, this podcast's like jazz.
The note's not being played.
Yeah. So, I actually found an article from 2017 where it was for like an anniversary. That would be what, 35 years, the 35th anniversary of this footage, where they interviewed Robert Frew again, and he was very adamant that this thing was not a snake, and this wasn't a case of misidentification. He said, quote, "A telephone pole that swims, not like a snake. There were 4, 5, 6 of us here. We all saw it. It went around the other side of the island, up in the rocks, to a place called Cloverfield," 2 words, and a commercial artist there then sketched it, and it was exactly what we saw in the film. So he sticks really hard to the fact that he didn't see just a big snake. He saw this weird creature, and he's held that up till 2017 at least. He also they talked to this guy from a Chesapeake College who was doing research on the sightings and kind of the history of the creature, and he kind of likens the people looking for terrors in the water being spawned from Jaws. He said that Chessie is rooted in the weirdness of the 1970s. You have all these books about the Bermuda Triangle, and then in 1975 you have Jaws. And that fueled people's fears of the water, and that led to people focusing on stuff happening in being on the lookout for shit that's going to eat you in the water. And also at the same time, Maryland people were starting to be concerned for the health of the Chesapeake Bay. So the mix of local lore, local interest in the cleanliness of the water mixed with pop culture building up this fear of the water led to people seeing this big monster in the water is the going theory, I guess.
Finally, people fear the water. Finally.
Yeah.
It took long enough, but now since the 80s we can say people finally fear the water. And I agree. Water is to be feared, frankly.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's interesting how much people find these creatures all over the earth. There's serpents or dinosaur-like water cryptids that people find everywhere. There's so many of them. As soon as you start digging under the water, if you go past Nessie, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and I think I don't mean this in any sort of debunker dismissive type of way, but it is pretty easy to misidentify things in water, and I think one of the most misidentifiable shapes in water are long things. If there's a long big object, there's a lot of factors, and like you said, there's all this stuff that is in the culture at the time that influences that. But we have hundreds of years old legends of sea serpents also. So, it's which, if I remember correctly, sea serpent didn't necessarily mean. It's sort of like the difference between the Victorian concept of a ghost and the Gothic concept of a ghost, where if we compared what people hundreds of years ago were calling sea serpents to what we all think of as a sea serpent today, I think there'd be a pretty sizable difference in what's being described too.
Yeah.
So again, I don't mean this in debunking, but it is interesting that I bet if you were to take the try and take all of the cryptids and stories of cryptids out there, you would probably have a sizable percentage dedicated to sea serpents and like dinosaur-like sea monsters that are maybe have serpentine features.
Yeah. I agree.
Thank you.
I do have one. There is one
for once.
There is one more sighting of this thing that I have here, because this is at like the most recent notable sighting of it. Like there are, if you go to those websites that just like people can fill out the box with whatever they saw and wherever it was, and it just creates an archive. There's stuff like that, but this is the last sighting that is like reported on really that I found, and it comes all as recently as April 5th, 2014. At 1:40 a.m. So, you know, whatever they were doing, parked on the side of the road near this river at 1:40 a.m., you can be the judge. So, this was a Maryland resident who goes unnamed, along with his friend, saw Chessie as close as 5 feet away from his car while he was parked on the side of Arundel Beach Road directly next to the Magothi River when the tide was, quote, really high. He described that a snake-like creature, approximately 25 to 30 feet in length, without fins, topped with a slender football-shaped head, and black in color, although he was not able to distinguish scales or leathery skin because of it being, 1:40 in the morning and it being dark. He said the creature did not rise out of the water, but the head and tail end just breached the surface of the water as it moved with, quote, a serpentine motion. The witness first asked himself if it was two separate animals traveling one behind each other, taking your conga line theory, but soon realized that it was only one creature because of the pattern it created on the water's surface, which I don't know what qualifications he was using there exactly, but I'll go with it. What's the different pattern for it being one long creature versus two moving in unison,
Yeah. That's hard to say. Also, I think there might be some logistical issues with getting topped with a cylindrical head, potentially, or like a football-shaped head.
Yeah.
Like getting some Hey Arnold-style dome.
Yeah.
I guess
kind of like a hammerhead kind of situation,
Yeah.
So they do say that there's no known snake in Maryland that gets anywhere near 25 feet long, which is nice for me. But he does state that he was not able to get a photo because he was, quote, so busy trying to figure out what the hell I was looking at that he did not think to take a picture with his phone. He did, however, call the Maryland Department of Natural Resources soon after the sighting and report what he saw. So, Chessie, it's weird how, Chessie has been adopted pretty much, there's a coloring book published by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services from 1986. It's like an educational tool and like a mascot, more than it has actual a bunch of sightings. When I first started looking at Chessie, I'm going to be honest, I thought that there'd be more lore to it. I thought there would be some more crazy sightings, but it really is just we have one too, and so we're gonna really fucking grab onto it and be like, this is Chessie, which I find charming. I like it.
There is that's interesting because there are a lot of cryptids. Too many, but where there is sort of a we have one too mentality with especially iconic ones. So yeah, like a Bigfoot and a Nessie style cryptid. Although to be fair, some of those also will have their own lore. But yeah, that is a little disappointing to not have some extra stuff going on. Because Washington D.C., you'd think that there'd be some zhuzh. Just by the nature of where this is happening. I guess Maryland, but...
Maryland, Connecticut, Washington, D.C. area. It's kind of gone... It seems to move around the waters through the area whenever, as it goes, So this next one does take us specifically to D.C. Okay. And this one is the most recent cryptid that we're going to be talking about today, and also... a lot of the information comes from X and Reddit posts. So like,
good.
This is a like I'm starting. I really kind of bristled away from covering stuff like these for a while.
Yeah.
Because there's like there's that whole kind of appeal to antiquity thing with cryptids, where like if the longer they've been around, the more interesting they seem, and like a lot of the modern day stuff. Where's the line between people just making up stuff for creepypasta and
right? But not deer kind of threw convention out the window maybe a little bit.
Yeah, and like also I think that all folklore should be ever evolving. You know, I think that like it should be reflective of the time, and so I kind of have loosened my stance on that, and because of that, we're going to talk about the Metro Monster, also because it's cool as shit.
I don't think I've heard of this one.
Yeah, there's not like a lot about it. There's a couple sightings. It contained in a couple different posts that I found. This is a very new one. Like the let's see, the X post, which is I think the earliest.
So are you willingly calling it X, the everything app right now? Is that what's happening?
No, sorry. That's actually a good clarification. No, I'm talking about 4chan's X board.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't even cross my mind that you would think I was talking about Twitter.
Twitter. I was like, "There's no way Nile's calling it X."
Even though I still am on that app technically, I do not. It has so not been renamed in my brain.
I've never. Yeah.
It is still Twitter and will forever be Twitter for me. And that's like, I mean, fuck Elon. So this comes from a post on 4chan's X board, which is the paranormal board, as you're well aware, from 2015.
Which that's the paranormal sub board of 4chan for anybody who might not know.
Yeah.
And there used to be some fun cryptid content on there. It's a lot less these days, is my impression. So I don't really visit it anymore, but.
So, yeah. So what I'm getting at is this is like a cryptid of the last decade, which I find kind of interesting. So this creature is said to terrorize the tunnels of Metro's train stations, especially the DuPont Circle station. One of the write-ups I found said there have been many sightings of this creature, including one where it approached a student. I could find maybe, I think, 3 to 4 sightings, depending on what you want to count. If there are many out there, I would love to hear more of them, because this thing's kind of cool. Because what this thing is it appears to be extremely tall, but it's always hunched over. It's similar to a rake, but there are some who have claimed that this cryptid has tentacles that it uses to hunt its prey.
Okay, now here's how you know this is okay. The rake is kind of like the not deer in that it is a completely made up, sometimes paranormal, sometimes cryptid, sometimes both creature from, I think, originates from the paranormal board on 4chan.
Yeah. It's this thing. I will say the cryptid wiki art that it pulled for this thing was kind of fun in that it almost looks like the merchant from Resident Evil 4 with all the like big draping cloth over him.
Yeah.
But like if you took that and made him like monstrous, like it's this like hunched over kind of long limbed, craggly fingered thing that sometimes has tentacles, and it like seeing this thing randomly hunched over as you're in the train station would probably scare me shitless.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So like I said, this posting comes from 2015. I'm gonna do my best to translate it from chronically online X speak. Here, Kyle, just for you, here's the literal first 2 sentences.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Of this post. Well, I guess I should go ahead and finally tell my story. It's not very /K like, to be honest. It's not in a woods. I was no funds at the time, all one word.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. I thank you for translating. I understood that, but like that seems like a little bit of an unbearable way to read that post.
Yeah. So this person was 17 at the time with no driver's license. But so they had to ride the subway effectively. he started on the Virginia side of the Potomac River to the east of the city at the Virginia Square GMU station on the Orange Line, yada, yada, yada. And he had to go all the way to his school a block away from the East Market Metro station, specifically in D.C. So he had to cross over the river. What I'm getting at here is he had to ride the train for quite a decent length of time. There's like a kind of like a full kind of chunk here. So he spent a lot of time in the subway. So for the first couple months he was doing this, everything was pretty normal. His life kind of settled into routine, but there were occasional times where when he was coming home late at night, during the weekends at around 1 a.m., things started to feel a little bit weird, and he started to feel a bit uneasy in the train station. He always sat up front on the train because he liked to be able to, at the front, to look out and see the tracks go by. It's like a thing that he did since he was a kid. But one night he was riding back the Red Line from Rockville to Metro Center, and he was the only person in the car, maybe even in the entire train. He caught the last train before the system was shut down for the night. And he was looking out of the front of the train like usual when he saw something strange. It looked like a white branch, like a birch wood or something. It was thin and spindly, but it was pressed up against the wall when he first saw it. And as the train lights started to pass by it, he thought it must have been a length of wire or pipe. But then it moved. He said it was very quick, not even like twitchy quick, but it just suddenly moved out of the edge of the headlights of the train, and he couldn't see it anymore. He immediately wrote it off in his head as just being tired and seeing things in the reflections, effectively. He worked at a movie theater. It's not really important, but he's talking about, like, he was talking about how tending to the popcorn machine all day can be, like, numbing, you know? And so he was like, my brain was, like, looking for stimulus, effectively. So about a week later, he saw it again at about the same place on the line. However, on this time, it was on the opposite end of the tunnel, and he got to see it a little bit more before it moved away. He said this, like, spindly branch that he was talking about was connected to something bigger, like a leg connected to a body, which is what it immediately conjured up for him. This time, as the train lights hit it, it moved away at the same speed, but about 10 seconds later, he saw it again, and it did the same thing. This started to become a thing that he would see multiple times in a row over the course of weeks. A few days later, it happened again, and he saw what looked like a foot this time before it scampered off into the darkness. At this point, he was very interested, very concerned, wanted to figure out what the fuck this thing was. Eventually, he was able to see two legs at the same time before it scampered off fully into the darkness. And so he started taking a notepad with him where he would notate the time, location, how much of it he saw, whatever he saw, and, like, kept notes of all the stuff that he would see here. So this continued for a little while, and he built up more and more of these, like, notes. But this time he was writing, and he was waiting. He was hoping to see, like, this last leg that he hadn't seen yet. He hadn't seen it at all for about 2 weeks. But then this night, it wasn't where it had been for the 2-week streak that he had been on. So he thought this night was going to be a bust as well, and he wasn't going to see anything. But then he saw these two lights, these two glints of light in the darkness. And he says that because he spent so much time doing this over the course of months, his eyes had gotten kind of used to the darkness and had been he'd gotten better at seeing things further into the darkness than he was when he started. So he saw these two little glints of light in the distance in the tunnels, and as he continued going down the tracks, he kept his eye on those and started to see the shape of it a little bit. And then what those glints were eyes. They blinked. And at this point, he said he jumped so hard he nearly pulled a muscle in his leg. And he could tell that the eyes were entirely black and beady like the eyes of a rat. And this led to it being even more scary. Like, he was terrified. Eventually, he did see the full thing. And here's what he says. It was like a person, but warped to the point where almost all traces of humanity were gone. It was thin, horribly thin, emaciated. I could see how its pallid gray flesh wrapped around its bones, not even covering the holes in some of its leg and arm bones. It was hunched over, not on all fours, but hunched over like an elderly person, with its legs crumpled down and its arms held in front of its chest, like how a prairie dog holds its arms when it stands up. Its head was completely hairless and was hung down so I couldn't make out its face. He opened his mouth to scream, but it wasn't coming out. He said he whimpered like a baby. But even that much sound provoked the thing, and it started to move towards him. And I guess in this case, he is, I forgot to mention, after seeing this thing in the train so many times, he tried to actually, like, on foot go find it. And in this case, he did. And this thing started to chase him after it heard him. So it was faster than him. He said there was approximately 150 feet between them when he first started being chased. But within 5 or 6 steps, it had already halved that distance. So this thing had long fucking legs, or is really fast. And at this point, he books it across the platform. He tries to outrun it to the end of the platform and jump across the tracks to a different platform and keep running away. He got about a quarter of that happen before he realized that it wasn't going to work, because the thing had fully stretched out, and he says it must have been at its full height, 15 feet tall at least. And its torso was thinner than its femur. So the torso was thinner than some of its arms. And the arms went all the way down to its shins and kind of dragged along the ground. Its face looked like that of a starving man, with sallow skin tightly wrapping its cheekbones like a corset. Its eye sockets were far too big for its beady little eyes, with the top of the socket jutting out a good 2 inches beyond where the eye ended, and the mouth was a gaping hole with no jaw to be seen. So he eventually is able to, get out of the subway station quickly enough that he escapes this thing, and he takes a cab home that night. Now, this is... That is the last sighting that this guy reports. He's basically, after he got chased with it and saw the full thing, he didn't... He took cabs home for quite a while after that and hasn't gone back since. You would think, like, I get not wanting to... If we're taking this guy at his word that he saw this crazy thing, yeah, I probably wouldn't go back again as well. Mm-hmm. But it does, the whole pacing of that does feel very story-esque, Right.
Like, it's a horror movie. Well, that's the thing, is, like, I was just kind of letting the story wash over me there, and not interjecting. Because, yeah, that's just like a little short horror story. That's a campfire story. Like, and the way it was sort of... So, first of all, it's a bloodborne monster. One.
Okay.
The other thing, too, is the early descriptions of it when he didn't have a good look at what it was. Mm-hmm. It really, really reminded me of another internet urban legend cryptid paranormal entity thing. Have you seen I think they're like from supposed to be in Russia, but the like shadow stick men?
I think so.
There's a very infamous if you look for this kind of content, like the Metro Monster. There's this video of like a stick-looking creature moving up a building. Kind of like, like long limbs and stuff. So it kind of reminded me of that, where it's like at first, when you see that video, it like at first doesn't really look like anything. It's sort of nondescript, and then it moves, and you suddenly realize, oh shit, it's like a weird thin creature. This is, I mean, look, so it makes sense though that this story could produce in the same way that it makes the same sense with the Rake, mm-hmm. that these could produce folkloric style internet legends and stories. That makes sense.
Yeah, like so that was the most complete sighting that I was able to find. It's a screen capped X post. It's like 4 posts stapled together, like how they do. But there were some other stuff. There's one other that I found that is kind of a secondhand sighting, because this is also one of those things where it's not the person giving their own sighting. They talked to conductors, and conductors were telling them, oh, there's this creature. And like, so I have that here too. But like, that was what I was getting at earlier, where it's like that where when sites say there have been many sightings, I found one actual one, and then like a secondhand one. And that's the vast majority of what I could find. So if there's other Metro Monster sightings out there, if everyone has the fucking hookup on that and they're good, send them my way. So here's what I have here. This one was from a Reddit post instead of an X post this time. So this guy was coming home from Philly on a Sunday around 11 p.m., which means he was catching one of the later trains on that line, coming back up to the DC area. He was kind of not silently. He was kind of chatting with the conductor as since this was late at night, and he was pretty much alone on this train with him. And the conductor kind of starts. He was talking to him about it being late and everything, and the conductor was very chatty. So at one point, the conductor just turns to this guy and says, "It's nights like these, am I right?" And this guy kind of, despite by his words not being one to start up conversations, decided he would kind of humor this guy. And he says that this conductor started to ramble his way through various anecdotes of his job, his family, his weekend, and the person telling the story was only really half listening until he mentioned something about a monster living in the metro tunnels. And so this led to a little bit of conversation where he asks about this conductor about this monster that he says, and the conductor says he's seen the monster himself, and the guy asks, what's it called? And the conductor says, it's just the monster. It's the Metro Monster. When the guy asks him how many other people have seen it, the conductor says, oh, just me and my buddy. He works the Red Line too. So this just means that there are two conductors that he's citing here saying that they saw it. And he asked the conductor kind of what he would see and what the thing looked like, and, just any information he might have about it. So here's what the conductor told him. He said he would see it from the front windows of his train car late at night when the metro was just about closed. He would only catch glimpses of it by lights from the lights on the front of the train car illuminating the tunnel. As they would speed on by, the creature would quickly slink off to the side, flattening itself against the wall of the tunnel while the train passed. He asked what it looked like. The conductor said it looked like a bit like a tree, lots of spindly protrusions that aren't exactly limbs. It also has a distinct central trunk that these branches snake out from. However, the creature is pale white with almost human-like skin. That was about most of what the conductor could say. He just says that it wasn't just a collection of stray wires. But he says that he doesn't have a lot more information about it, but he's seen it enough times to know that it was alive and definitely wasn't just, detritus in the tunnel. He did say, however, that when the train lights caught the sight of the monster, he could see that his eyes would flash like red, which is different than the other case. In the other one, he specifically talked about the glint being these like two white pinpricks in the distance. He has like a picture that I don't know if it was staged or whatever the fuck, but there's basically just describing what he was seeing. And so that is like basically the most I could find about the Metro Monster. There's a couple of DeviantArt type images of it, which I found pretty entertaining. I think they looked cool. But yeah, I like the idea of this thing. The idea of like a fucking knobbed tree fucking thing combing the fucking tunnels of the DC metro system would terrify me,
Yeah, it's okay. It's a good creature. One, I like the creature. Two, it's a good location for a creature to remain undetected and like be able to prowl, right? Mm-hmm. And then three, like a station like that, like a subway station, something like this is such a great location for a horror story, especially if part of your horror story involves this, if you've ever been in a place where you would expect people to be and you suddenly have the realization that you're all alone. I feel like that feeling has to be heightened if you were to experience that in a train station, right? Like a subway station thing. Like that would make it's I don't know, it's a volatile it's why shit like the back rooms is as popular as it is. It's like people want to say liminal space, whatever, but like I think the actual like horror that you're really tapping into is that you're suddenly alone in a big network of tunnels and places you can go and no clue what's around those corners, right? And if there's a monster prowling around in it that looks like a bloodborne beast, all the better,
Yeah, I also think people underestimate just how much random shit is in these tunnels. Mm-hmm. I was trying to do research for this episode, I came across an article that described the DC subway system as there being a felt-like layer across the tracks of human skin and hair, and like that just is like a thing that's just a thing that we know now. So what I'm getting at is like there's a lot of like, they kept saying, oh, it's not a bundle of wires or whatever. There's so much just stuff in these subway systems because we don't have actual enough upkeep in this country to keep them like pristine. So it's just going to be, trash, detritus, all this stuff piled up random places being blown by high-speed winds as these trains blast past. And so it's a good place for a creature to live in this kind of mythical sense, but it also is just like a great place for people to see shit in that they think is weird, but is really just like a stack of magazines,
Yeah. You know what else it also reminds me of? Funny. I was recently reading about the concept of mole people.
Oh, sure.
And specifically, I think under New York in the sewer system. Which there's actually, I want to talk about it on the podcast, but there's a book I'd have to read at some point. So maybe someday I'll, and I think the author died like recently.
Okay.
But there was a book from the 90s about mole people that I think is where, there's a lot of like myths of that too, but it just makes me think, underground tunnels of any kind. There's something eerie to be gained from that idea. Generally speaking.
I agree. I do have one more creature for you.
Okay.
If you want to bear with me here.
What if I'd said no?
I can always save this one. That's fine. But I was planning on talking about the demon cat of Capitol Hill.
Oh shit. Okay. No, I do want to hear about this one.
Yeah. Because this one is actually like in the Capitol in the White House. We got to find something in that area, and I did. So, the story of the demon cat takes place going all the way back to the mid-1800s, believed to be when cats were brought into the basement tunnels of the Capitol building to kill rats and mice. And the legend states that the demon cat is one of those who has never left even after its own death. Because yes, this cat is both like sometimes corporeal, but a lot of times thought of as like some sort of ghost or spirit that will scare the shit out of night watchmen in the basement of the Capitol building. So supposedly this thing's actual home is the original intended burial chamber for President George Washington. So I guess keep that one in mind. What I do like about this legend most maybe is that people believe that this thing is almost like a Mothman-esque portent, because the cat is seen regularly before presidential elections, along with tragedies of people in Washington, D.C.
Oh, shit. It's like the Black Dog.
Yeah, basically. Because allegedly, this thing was spotted by White House security guards on the night before the assassinations of both John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln.
That's fucking awesome. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I guess be on the lookout. It is described as, in various instances, as either being a black or a tabby cat. And it starts out, and yes, there is an element to this. It starts out the size of an average house cat. However, the story goes effectively that the first time this thing was seen, there was a night watchman who was down and just kind of doing his rounds. And this cat, he came upon this cat, and as he got closer to it, it started to enlarge in size. So it was starting out, it was a normal cat, and by the time he was like up close to it, this thing was either, depending on the story you read, quote, the size of a giant tiger or the size of an elephant. So at this point, this massive fucking cat would either kind of explode into like smoke, effectively, like you know,
hellfire,
vanish. Yeah, or jump or lunge at the person seeing it, and it would disappear as it was about to hit you. So, you know, like Ghost Train kind of thing, you know? So back in the times of these sightings, in the 1890s, this happened to some Capitol guards who actually had guns at this point and fired at it.
Shit.
And then this is a thing that is like not confirmed anywhere. I couldn't find, but like there are places that say this actually happened. Supposedly in that instance, one of the Capitol guards died of a heart attack after this thing lunged at it. So he was kind of like scared to death, or, you know, heart attack.
I think we have an exact copy of that situation, but with the black dog, but like in Europe. I think when I did the black dog episode, there were a lot of stories of like, I remember, I think one of them was called like Maudie Dew or whatever, right? The black dog as an omen of death. I think somebody in one of the stories sees it and gets so scared they die.
Yeah, that's a thing here with these things. Like, and they do in this case say that the guy had a heart attack, not like straight up just scared to death. But
that's it's of
the same
scared
thing.
To death. Yeah. And this cat as an omen of death seems a little bit more proactive, leaping at people and like pretending to attack them and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. The black cat was the shooter on the grassy knoll.
There you go. Yeah, second shooter. I think the black cat was the shooter in the drain. So this led to eventually, in 1935, the Washington Post published an article that delved into the demon cat's legend. It described the cat's glowing eyes and aura of ferocity that surrounded it, and kind of told of the initial accounts and everything. And this is when it really kind of got entered into the lore full time. Like this was where it kind of got crowned and carried forward in the future. However, they say, okay, so a lot of this stuff comes from a write-up that was luckily done before recent times on the White House website. And they say the last, quote, official sighting took place during the final days of World War II in the 1940s. People do claim to have seen it since then, so I'm not sure what they mean by official sighting. But that is what places will claim, that was the last like big sighting. It might be the last like significant sighting or something, but people still claim to see this thing. Like it's not like an all the time thing, but it's still a going concern.
I mean, it wouldn't be a cryptid if people were just seeing it all the time, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, there's the article. The first recorded appearance of it took place in 1862 during the Civil War, when the U.S. Capitol's basement was used as a bakery to feed soldiers, and the demon cat appeared there several times. And since then, it shows up mostly in the Capitol building, but has been seen elsewhere. One of the things that I found there's an explanation for this that I found really funny. And to get into that, we have to talk a little bit about who was being hired as night watchman in the halls of the Capitol building at the time periods we're talking about here, because it was not qualified people. It was mostly like like black sheep brothers of
QAnon shaman.
Sure, the equivalent. No, it was mostly like the like brother of a congressman who couldn't keep a steady job, so the congressman was doing a favor, like it was a
Nepo
lot of like
guardsmen.
Yeah, it was a lot of like people that were close enough to people of power that they wanted to get them a job so they wouldn't be an embarrassment.
Ooh.
And this led to that. This is from my reading. I don't know any of these people, of course, because this was the fucking 1890s. But this is the actual suggested explanation for what happened here, and I think it's hilarious. So, what this led to is the fact that a lot of these guards were not really concerned with the job per se, and this led to them a lot of times being drunk or otherwise indisposed on and hanging out in the catacombs of the Capitol building. So the story goes that this is to be believed the first initial sighting of this thing. A guard that I could not find a detail on who was drunk in the basement of the Capitol and fell asleep, and then one of the cats that was brought down to kind of chase down mice and rats in this Capitol building was walking around and walked and kind of like stood over this drunk sleeping guard's face and woke him up. And so the cat was very close to this guy's face, and so in his drunken state he saw it being large. He thought that this thing was like massive, got really scared, and then this thing kind of built from there. So it was literally a drunk guy being unable to kind of comprehend perspective and distance in a recently woken up drunken stupor. Might have led to what is now a legend documented on the White House website.
That's awesome. And I seem to recall some drunken stupor among guards in the Black Dog Death Omen stories as well. Maybe there's a common theme. This is interesting. Maybe there's something going on here that we don't quite understand about being a guard in days gone by. Like, you're just going to tell stories about fucking fucked up dogs and cats, I guess? Like,
I guess.
I guess so. Interesting.
So there's one other thing here. So there are these two pieces of, quote, evidence that people will point to and I guess to this day go and take pictures of. I don't know, things seem slightly different now, but back when it was fun. So there is a place there's a thing called the Small Senate Rotunda. So this is a rotunda that is in the Capitol building that in 1898 was damaged by a gas explosion. So they had to, in certain places, replace the original stone flooring with concrete. And so supposedly there are cat paw prints in the concrete of this Small Senate Rotunda, which was probably happened when a cat walked across it. But of course now, because people want to see the demon cat stuff, those are said to be the paw prints of the demon cat. And so people, you can look up, if you look up like cat paw prints, Capitol building, Senate Rotunda, like you can find pictures of these depressions online. People do take pictures of these things. There's one other thing that's even less convincing to me. In the old Supreme Court chamber, it's like as you come out of the old Supreme Court chamber, there's that's where those things are. There's in another part of the building, there's a place where there's just the letters DC in the concrete, like scratched into it. And people say that's the demon cat putting its initials in the concrete. When you're in Washington, D.C.
Oh my God. That's...
Yeah, did you find the cat paw prints?
I found the cat paw prints. That's just cute.
Yeah, there's just paw prints in this rotunda in the Capitol building.
I love that.
So, maybe, hey, fuck it. Those are they're the work of the demon cat. I choose to believe this one because it's funny to me, and I think we need more whimsy in our lives.
I really love this Evening Star clip in the article that I pulled up to find that. It says, Uncle Sam's cats, 300 of them employed by the government. Why cats are of use. They are kept at the post offices to protect the the mails. Department cats at Washington. Pussies of the White House. Cats that swarm in the Capitol. That's good. I love that. I mean, cats and dogs. They're both things that it seems that you would back in the day have on deck for keeping pests away and like protecting places and stuff. It's kind of odd to think of a cat as protection. Like a big dog is what I would immediately think of. But like, I guess cats are also, if you're like mail or whatever is getting gnawed by rats or what have you, you can just deploy the cats and they'll just take care of the problem. So it makes sense. But pussies of the White House, cats that swarm the Capitol.
That's a great headline.
Awesome.
that is not. That's not weird in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's normal.
Yeah, I do like the fact there's this other little anecdote about the cat that I thought was funny because like I said earlier, there are people that claim to have seen it in the White House as well as the Capitol. And most of the places I could find were talking about just sightings in the Capitol. But I did find some information vis-a-vis why people might think this thing exists in the White House, along with why it might have sometimes been thought of as a tabby. So, this dates back to everyone's favorite president, Calvin Coolidge.
That's my president.
Yeah, so Calvin Coolidge had a cat that he called Tige, also known as Tiger, that was pretty large, and it lived in the White House with him, but it had a tendency to kind of wander off and sometimes disappear for days at a time. And so this cat became of some renown. But what people think happened was people seeing this cat that didn't know that it had like been wandering around, saw it in weird places in the White House, and it led people to believe that the demon cat was in the White House. So as far as I can tell, the actual demon cat sightings were linked to the Capitol and specifically the tunnels below the Capitol. But when people cited it as being seen in the White House, they were actually just seeing Calvin Coolidge's cat, Tige.
Well, it's
all
good.
Right.
Look, it's cute for Coolidge to have a kitty. Oh, say that 5 times fast. Cute for Coolidge to have a kitty. Cute for Coolidge to have a kitty. But I just love that these legends stick around from something as just totally. What's the word I'm looking for? Just it's chill that he had a cat, right? Like but there was already this pre-established thing about maybe a drunk guard. It's just an interesting evolution of the idea.
There's one more thing about the drunk guardsman that's funny to me. So part of what people think led to this legend getting repeated as much as it did was the fact that drunken guard, upon reporting this incident to his superior, was sent home for the day. So people thought that these lazy ass like nepo baby security guards that were like everyone's dipshit brother started to use seeing the demon cat to try to get out of working and being sent home, and this led to more sightings being reported.
That's so wow.
Yeah, like a demon cat says take it easy, I think that's the legend here.
It's also like, for whatever reason, it's like so absurd to me to think of like the American people being like, what's going on with Calvin Coolidge, our new president? Like what kind of policies is Calvin Coolidge trying to push? Like, we've had so many insane presidents, and Calvin Coolidge just feels like a footnote. You know what I mean? Like, it just is really wild. I'm sure, Calvin Coolidge was involved with relevant, important stuff or whatever. But I can't tell you anything about that because all I know about is the series of absolute like insane people who've been running our country my entire life. So
yeah. All right, well, do you want to do a big question?
Sure.
So I did have one, but honestly I kind of want to do a different one now because of to fulfill the brief from the beginning of our episode.
Sure.
So Kyle, I've talked to you today about 3 cryptids.
Yeah.
If you were to start the church of one of these cryptids, which one would you want to be a devout follower of, and why?
That's tough, because on the one hand, the Metro Monster, I mean, Bloodborne, the video game, is already about the healing church and the blood they use. Basically what I'm saying is, if the Metro Monster had a church start to revolve around him, there would definitely be some like weird mystical blood transfusion shit happening, and that's not something I'm really interested in doing. I think I Godspeed to anybody who joins the Church of the Metro Monster and wants to swap blood around, but that's not for me. I think I'm gonna have to say the demon cat, of like the idea that, I mean, just the story, the potentiality of it being this drunken nepo baby, tall tale, get out of work free card Calvin Coolidge fuck up is so awesome to me. And the fact that the demon cat, like you said, it's about taking it easy. The demon cat, the demon cat's like main religious, I'm not coming up with the good word, but one of the main things that the demon cat church will teach you is that if you're thinking about calling off work, do it.
Yeah, because under the religious exemptions here, the Church of the Demon Cat, or the CDC, because no one else is using that, right? Is one of our prime maxims is that if you see the demon cat, you get a day off of work, and if you're living the true word of the demon cat, you see it regularly.
Yes.
So I think that for religious reasons, the demon cat will be the bane of employers everywhere.
Yes, and that's fantastic. Now, I will say, there's also the aspect of the tax-exempt halfway houses for the demon cat, where you can just come and chill, and there's big balls of yarn, cans of tuna fish, and like lots of soft spots to curl up and just hang out. You take that day off work, you can go hang out at the demon cat community.
Have you seen those things where people are buying pavement stones, like paving stones, and just like leaving them out in the sun for a couple hours, and then bringing them in, and cats just like flock to them to lay on them?
Oh no, I've not seen that.
They're gonna be doing that shit. There'll be hot stones for all of these cats to lay on, and that's gonna be part and parcel to the Church of the Demon Cat.
I could see why laying down on a hot stone might be kind of nice. So we're gonna have all the accoutrement you could possibly want if you were a demon cat or a follower of the demon cats of Latter-day Saints. You can come and hang out there, and they'll have all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you?
I could easily jump into the Church of the Demon Cat, but since we've talked about that one already, I am going to make a pitch for the Metro Monster, because I do think that at most churches should have at the head of it something kind of unknowable and terrifying.
Sure.
Because what is religion but a reason to be scared? And so I think the Metro Monster is the one that would most terrify me, and because of that,
you'd fall reason, in line real quick.
Yeah, and I think that like the Metro Monster would also maybe give me free train fare, maybe that works too.
So there's an upside. But yeah. I hate to tell you this, I think that if the Metro Monster is giving you free train fare, it could be a honeypot to get like human victims into his tunnels.
That's true. Now, in the 1.5 sightings of the Metro Monster that I was able to find, he never killed anybody.
That's fair.
He did chase somebody, though, so maybe maybe he just likes to play tag. I don't know.
How do we know that the Metro Monster wasn't just trying to get the guy to take the sacrament?
Yeah, you got to eat. Well, you got to eat like a pretzel rod. It looks like looks like a twig.
Yeah, pretzel rod.
Heat of my body. It's a pretzel rod.
Yeah. What would his blood be?
What's something that
Skull vodka.
Trained? Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Eat of my body and drink of my blood. It's a pretzel rod and a shot of Skull vodka.
You're gonna need to drink water after that.
Yes.
You're gonna be so dry.
You're gonna be thirsty as fuck.
Yeah. What would the sacraments of what would you get for the demon cat? You would be...
shit. Eat of my body, that's I mean, I guess it's just tuna fish. Drink of my blood. Yeah. This one's more metaphorical. You just suddenly get really scared and run around very quickly.
Okay. You go for a little run. Okay.
Yeah. What about poor Chessie? I feel like we left Chessie out. What's the sacrament?
Chessie. I mean, like, you can lean into the Maryland stuff, and you get like a soft shell crab or something.
There's something extra fucking insane about the idea of going to church and everyone coming up to get pieces of soft shell crab.
I was thinking just like a whole sandwich.
That would be awesome. Fuck everything we just said. I'm joining that church. That sounds good.
And then now here's the actual pitch. You get the soft shell crab sandwich, and then next to it you get a natty bow.
Yeah.
And so Sunday morning is fucking.
Oh fuck!
It's the Super Bowl every Sunday.
Oh my god! Can I join all three? Like, can I? Oh, we just created the perfect church.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The demon cat's the spirit. The tree spirit is the father, and Chessie's the son because it's cute.
We could riff on this all day.
Yeah.
There's so many beautiful things we could create from this scenario. Wow. Hey, email podcast question of the week. Which church are you joining and why?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Send it in. All right. Do you want to take care of some business?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so if you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter at IGW Podcast.
You can follow us on Facebook.com/ItGetsWeirdPodcast.
And we're on all of your favorite podcatchers. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird, and we're almost certainly there, including YouTube.
Yes, we are on YouTube. Look us up if that's relevant to you. People wanted us on YouTube for whatever reason. Some people just, I guess, listen to podcasts through YouTube, which is fine. It's just not my, hey, Godspeed. Twitch.tv/itgetsweird. I have been streaming Pokemon Fire Red with our good friend Colin. We're just about to finish this. We're a bit over halfway through with this Nuzlocke run, I guess is what I would say. And it's been a lot of fun. So come check it out on Twitch. I'm interacting with the chat. We're talking to chat, having a good time. It's been really good. Email us, itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. Podcast question of the week is pretty good, I think. So if you haven't answered that, go ahead and hit us up. Or if you just want to send us a story, a comment, anything like that, go ahead and just make it good. Let us know how we should address you. We might read it on the show. If you're emailing us to tell us about how we can boost our advertising money and our fucking... SEO or whatever, never email me ever again. We get your emails so much. You people aren't listening to this show, I know, so this is really just for us, but fuck you. Stop emailing us. We're not interested.
Also, we don't want to promote your book.
Yeah, we don't want to promote. Stop emailing. Okay, these people will never hear this, Nile, so I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going to lay it down now. Stop emailing us about promoting your bullshit that we don't we're not going to come on here and promote your book about colloidal silver. That's just not going to happen. And we're not going to listen to a single goddamn thing you have to say. If you're like, I'm CEO of fucking Flashpoint Plus, where we manage your podcast for you, and just skip it.
Yeah.
It's probably automated. I don't know who I'm talking to.
We're all just yelling at AI at this point.
Yeah. Email us if you're cool and not one of the things we just described. But if you really want to support us, check out patreon.com/itgetsweird. We have a $1 tier, a $2 tier, and a $5 tier. At the $1 tier, it's a thank you. You're just saying, hey, thanks for doing what you do. Here's a buck. It's kind of like a tip jar. $2 tier, though, you're going to start to get content. So at the $2 tier, you have It Gets Weird TV every other week, where Nile and I are talking about weird television. Right now, we're in the middle of Season 3 of The X-Files. It's a blast. Go ahead and join that $2 tier for It Gets Weird TV. But if you want even more, you want the best bang for your buck, the $5 tier, where you're going to get World of Weird in the off weeks of the It Gets Weird TV series, where Nile and I talk about whatever the hell we want. We just had like an hour straight long discussion of horror movies. So if that's the kind of thing that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and check it out. $5 tier, huge back catalog, regardless of which one you join, of bonus episodes. You'll have so much shit to listen to. It's kind of mind-boggling, actually. So go ahead and check that out. Whether you join the $2 tier, the $5 tier, you get access to the main show 2 days early on Friday instead of Sunday on your own private Patreon feed. And you get access to the Discord where we're hanging out, chatting with users. What the fuck? I got to separate the work from the podcast.
Yeah.
Listeners like you. So go ahead and check out patreon.com/itgetsweird. And donate if you like what we're doing. We'd really appreciate it. But if you can't donate, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your congressman all about It Gets Weird podcast.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for continuing to support the show. This has been It Gets Weird, and I've been Nile.
And I'm Kyle, signing out.